Welcome back to language class, and we are still at neighbors. The other day we had studied in detail about the neighbors written by Team Winton. Today we are gonna answer. We're gonna approach the question answer from our textbooks exercise sections. So the exercise is understanding the text. Answer the following questions. Now, number A, we are given a question. Describe how the young couple's house looked like. As simple as that, the simple question. So you can answer like this: even though their homes was tiny, it had the appearance of a beautiful cottage due to the high ceilings and paned windows that were on the walls. Their house was not that luxurious or of high standard, but was perfectly cozy to live a life as a normal people. Well, that was quite easier. Anyways, you can use your own language as well. You can simplify this version, or you can make it a bit complicated as well with literary sentence if it's necessary, but it's not so much necessary. It seems objective question. Number B, how did the young couple identify their neighbors in the beginning of their arrival? Now, what do you think they have thought of? Yeah, of course. So at the time they moved in that place, the young couple had an irrational dislikes toward their new neighbors. To begin with, the neighbors used to scream and make noise, followed by the child peeing in the street. Peeing in the street. Looking forward a fence at the house. Aside from that, the young guy was displeased with his neighbors' participation in their gardening activities, as he was offended by the other people's interference in their work. There were also concerns from their neighbors about their dog. All these things made them have a negative thoughts about the neighborhood. They just resented the neighbors who were quite noisy and disgusting in the beginning. Number C, how did the neighbors help the young couple in the kitchen garden? Now here comes some kind of cordial question. Well, it can be answered like the bag of garlic cloves was given to young couple by the ladies so that they could plant in the garden, the kitchen garden. This way the neighbors were able to help them. Under the watchful eyes of the neighbors, the young couple cleaned up rubbish in their backyard and prepared the soil for winter plowing and manure application in the fall. In addition, neighbors approached the work area and offered and advised them the ideas for spacing, healing and mulching the vegetables they had planted. They included leeks, onions, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and broad beans in their plantings. Even though the male was irritated by the interruption, he paid close attention to what was being said and followed so. Number D, we have why were the people in the neighborhood surprised at the role of young man and his wife in their family? Okay, simple. Because of the late hour at which the young man and his wife used to wake up in the mornings, the people in the neighborhood were shocked at the role of the young man and his wife in their family. In addition, the young man's choice to remain at home and write his thesis while his wife went to work surprised them and their friends and their neighbors. Number E, how did the neighbors respond to the woman's pregnancy? Following the announcement of the pregnancy, their neighbors couldn't stop being happy at them. As soon as a woman finds out she's pregnant, her neighbors are informed and immediately begin showering presents and advices and wishes her on her and her husband. The man in the deli gave her new chocolate gifts and he handed her the packets of cigarettes that he kept at home because he was not a smoker to show that he cared about her. In the summer, Italian women started to give suggestions for names, nomenclature, name giving, baptism, what? An elderly Greek lady approached a young woman on the street and lifted her skirt to feel her tummy, telling her that the child was meant to be a boy. by late summer. Boy, boy. The lady next door had knit the baby a suit complete with gloves and a cap out of cotton she had found on the street. Several emotions flooded over the young lady at once. She was pleased, felt weird, was thankful to her as well. Overall, they were very happy to learn about the young lady's pregnancy. Number F. Why did the young man begin to weep at the end of the story? Weep at the end of the story. Really? Answer can be like this. They had hated and irritated by the neighborhood activities and their interference in their personal activities. However, they didn't realize there were a love and care for them behind all the activities of the peoples in their people in their neighborhood. Okay, so but the relationship started to get reshaped when the young lady gets pregnant and their neighborhood starts admiring and well wishing them. Important events such as the birth of a child provide the opportunity to recognize them, the common humanity. The young man's tears at the conclusion of the tale represent the realization that the young couple has experienced since the birth of their kid. Now, number G. Why do you think the author did not characterize the person in the story with the proper names? The irony of this story is that the characters have not been given a definitive names or identity. It's possible that the characters will be regarded as role models for everyone since they are not defined. Author wants the reader to get influenced or inspired from the story by characterizing the persons of the story without finite names. From another side of view, from another angle, if you have a perspective, we can also say that Tim may not want his readers to get too involved in the characters, rather feel the way people interact with each other in a diversified community. For a narrator that lacks information, an author may make the characters not much important to us, the readers, thereby attracting more readers. It is possible that the author will wish to place the story in a broad category that relates to similar occurrences in the future. Also possible is that the author would want to demonstrate that their ethnic connections are more important than their uniqueness. That's possible. Let's get to RTC. Reference to context. A. The story shows that linguistic and cultural barriers do not create any obstacles in human relationship. Cite some examples from the story where the neighbors have transcended such barriers. Answer can be, it's a sample answer, you can create your own and no problem with this. Through the symbolism of pregnancy, Winton is able to examine how a shift may have a variety of impacts for the young couple and the whole neighborhood. Because of its universality in universality universal universality, pregnancy serves as a stimulus for the formation of new bonds and connections across cultural boundaries. They are becoming acquainted with new traditions. For example, plucking the duck. They learn about vegetable care and how to be self-sufficient. They were more tolerant of various points of view and they were less critical of their neighbors' belief. They were progressively evolving over time, making friends with their neighbors and really enjoying one another's company. For example, they were pleased to see them and appreciated their interest in them. Example, when their son was born, here it is son, somebody might say daughter, as somebody predicted, sun example, the sun was burned. Okay, when the couple finds out they are pregnant, cultural boundaries are broken through and they're able to pursue a new chapter of their lives because of their transformation. They didn't speak each other's languages and shared a similar culture, so language and culture did not seem to play a part in their communication. However, the young couple looked to have picked up the habit of shouting in the same way that their neighbors did, which was strange. After a time of adaptation, the pair was able to successfully blend in. Indeed, the book demonstrates that language and cultural boundaries do not pose a barrier to human interaction in the first place. At first, the couples had a difficult time adjusting to their new surroundings since they saw neighbors as being a little strange. Clearly, the couple who had only just relocated from a quiet and peaceful suburb is tormented and anguished by the amount of noise they generate in their home. The manner their next door neighbors conducted their life came as a surprise to the couple as well. The noises of spitting and bathing and dawn watering came as a shock, says the author, illustrating this point. Spitting and watering in the early hours of the morning are not part of everyday Australian life. Australians are making an effort to become more civilized, and via Tim Winton's Neighbours, we can learn how to adapt to these new ways of life. According to the tale, when the young couple started growing a garden, it led their neighbors to approach the fence and provide advice on spacing, healing, and mulching. The couple decided to construct a hen house, which they were able to finish with the help of one of their neighbors, and they were now on an equal footing with the rest of the community. They even started to invite one another to dinner parties as a result of their relationship or friendship. These are some of the most compelling instances from the tale in which the neighbors have overcome such obstacles. In nutshell, we can depict the fact that they were not separated by any means of language or cultural diversifications. All are humans, and it is obvious to have different cultures than others. The thing that matters is emotional relationships and social harmony, which is beautifully characterized in the story with the pregnancy of the woman depicted as a catalyst, not affected by any of the chemicals, but helps in you know helps in developing relationship. Number B, the last sentence of the story reads, the 20th century novel had not prepared him for this. In your view, what experiences, what differences did the young man find between 20th century novel and human relationships? Okay, let's find out what could be the answer. The birth is a wonder for the young guy. One, as if he has never seen somebody getting born. And he discovers at the conclusion of the book that the 20th century's fiction had not adequately prepared him for it. This is a symbol that is used throughout the short tale to represent the characters. It has something to do with the subject of judgment. It relates to the views of the general public about migrants, such as those who live in the neighborhood. A statement from the short story's conclusion, the 20th century book had not prepared him for this, indicates that he has come to believe that 20th century viewpoint on immigration was incorrect. The subject of adjustment, or let's say subject of judgment, is prominent in this short story. The newlyweds were fast to form a bad opinion of the neighborhood, which was soon disapproved by the events of the narrative. Yet the concept of forgiveness is also prominent. One of the interesting questions that we have in number C, Nepali proverb says neighbors are companions for wedding processions as well as for funeral procession. Does this proverb apply in the story? Justify. Okay, let's think Nepali proverb. Viva. Oh, 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 I don't want to read and remember the term. Okay, Malami. Let's answer this question. This proverb defines a social harmony and relationship, okay, that the people in this Nepali community have with each other. This proverb is also applicable in this story. When they were gardening, neighbors come there to help them with various suggestions, including giving them various materials and seeds for planting different vegetables. Similarly, they also give them an idea of how they can grow more and well. This thing proves that neighbors help them when there was a time they required. On the other hand, they are also assisted by the neighbors when they had a happy and pleasant moment. Having a baby is a good moment where every of the neighbor come there to celebrate and be the participant of their happiness. This complies with the Nepali proverb of neighbors are the companions for wedding procession as well as for their funeral procession. Okay, that comes to the end of this answer. Let's go with the number D. The question says the author has dealt with an issue of multiculturalism in the story. Why do you think multiculturalism has become a major issue in the present world? Summary. Let's go with the summary. Timothy John Winton, best known by his pen name Tim Winton, is an Australian novelist, children's book author, non-fiction author, and sort of blah 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 blah. Okay. No, so the story is this one of grade 12 chapter literature section. And Neighbours, a short story by Tim Winton, tells the story of a young couple who moves to a new location where they find themselves among the large number of European immigrants. Okay, this is what the summary is. They notice that their new neighborhood is densely populated with European migrants and rare uncomfortable at first, having to listen to their next door neighbors' loud conversation, a Macedonian family, and the hammering of the other next door neighbor, a police widow, among other things. Gradually, they start to notice the strange and even unpleasant customs of their new neighbor after a few weeks. At first, their new surroundings seem strange and frequently unpleasant. And as a result, both the young couple develops prejudices and dislikes regarding their neighbors. Transitions and how they allow for changes into new phases of life are examined in Tim Winton's short story, Neighbours. The couple was dissatisfied with the conditions in which they found themselves. However, they get more acclimatized to their new surroundings. The young couple starts to develop a positive attitude about their neighbors, and he realizes that they are not all bad people. They understand that their only assets are their neighbors, and that establishing amicable relationship with them may prove to be a smart choice. They realize that they can be friends and help each other out in their everyday lives, thus making everyone in their neighborhood happy and content. The irony of this story is that the characters have not been given a definitive names or identity. It's possible that the characters will be regarded as role models for everyone, since they are not defined, and in doing so, there are advantages in the future. Might the society change, and when they read them, they understand from different perspective. And currently, what is stated over here, that's our perspective. The purpose of this short stories is to communicate the message of the importance of creating a peaceful atmosphere with one's neighbors. Prior to relocating to that location, the young couple lived in an outlying residential neighborhood. First and foremost, they are sojourners who do not communicate. In the meanwhile, the young guy stays at home to finish up his thesis on the 19th century. Is it 19th century or 20th century book? The young woman is employed as a medical assistant at a hospital. Their life, on the other hand, changes in the autumn when they begin to produce vegetables in not sell. They become happy with their neighbors and feel comfortable as their neighbors start assisting them in their trouble and celebrating the happiness together. Are we going to have alternative answer over here? I'm not happy with this 19th century anyways. Let's change if this to be changed. Multiculturalism is simply the condition of the existence of multiple cultures. Major problems with it are a language barrier and lack of communication, which becomes an obstacle in adaptation in a new environment or to create healthy relations with different cultured people. In my opinion, the following are the major problems with the multiculturalism. Several points are there. Language barriers. Language barriers are a significant disadvantage of cultural diversity. Social segregation occurs when speakers of two unintelligible languages coexist. Language barriers are generally temporary. Most immigrants eventually learn the local language, but segregation is not always. Many nations now require prospective immigrants to master their official language. Lack of social harmony. Disparities in culture and language may create societal strife. For example, in Europe, the Muslim minority and the largely secular majority frequently disagree on Islamic and secular values. Lack of educational opportunity frequently disadvantages European Muslim populations in the labor market. This claims the difference in cultures are being walls among the communities. Civic disengagement. It is not a cultural consequence of social diversity. In fact, studies indicate that diverse communities are more prone to discrimination in employment or immigration policies is more likely to have this effect. Workspace, let's say workplace issues. Cultural diversity may create workplace issues. White employees may perceive diversity techniques like the disparate effect test as a kind of reversal. Black employees sometimes feel discriminated against in diverse workplaces. Eventually, when the management team is all white, according to one study, African Americans are 2.5 times more likely than whites to leave a diverse business, while females are twice as likely. These statistics support claims of employment in discrimination against minorities and women. Okay, one more. Reference beyond the text. A. Write an essay on celebration of childbirth in my community. Now, which community it is? Must be Nepalese community where we have the word Noaran. So, childbirth, especially the Noaran, or the ninth day of the birth of a newborn baby, is a ceremony or ritual that is performed to commemorate the birth of a child with pleasure and gladness, which is shared among family and community members. To commemorate the occasion of delivery, different cultures have developed a variety of ceremonies and customs. In our culture, which is Hinduism, people gather and congratulate the family members and also have some food as a celebration. Naming of the baby is also done on the same day. The community plays an essential part in each event or rite. People used to congregate at the place of the delivery to congratulate the parents and other family members. Moreover, they mark the important event by singing, dancing, and consuming delectable delicacies. Every year, the birth of a child is greeted with pleasure and bestowing of blessing by an older member or member of the wider community. When a child is born, the parents would prepare a variety of delicacies and serve them to the elderly, who are regarded as the guardians of our cultural heritage. They also make little presents for the baby's mother and her family, which they present to them. During the course of delivery, mothers are shown a great deal of respect and affection. During this time, they are receiving the finest possible care. Whenever a woman is physically prepared to give birth to her kid, this has helped to strengthen the relationships in a society. Number B, do the people in your community respond with similar reaction upon the pregnancy and childbirth as depicted in the story? Give a couple of examples. Let's go ahead, we have many. Yes, they do. People in our society are very responsive and cooperative. Not only do they respond to some neighbors' happy moments, but are ready to help all people in this community. This has helped people to strengthen their relations. If someone has a marriage, people go there to help their arrangements, not only to celebrate. We can say it is almost impossible to conduct such ceremonies without the help of neighbors in our society. People gather in the society, we help. Catering is all done by the society members, cooking stuff, decorating stuff, welcoming stuff, seeing of stuff, etc. Unless they go to some party and places or hotels for management or for any kind of arrangement. Similarly, if something unexpected or sad happens in one family, every family in society becomes ready to share the grief, lamentation, condolences, showering of sympathy. In the ceremonies like childbirth, people offer the family and mother various food and clothes, items which sound health of both mother and infant. That is why I like my society very much. One thing that you've forgotten, when you are opening the curtains to see the face of a young child, a newly sprung child, you happen to give some kind of blessings, monetary, clothes, food, different various items. Instantly, if you don't have anything, you just take some money from your pocket and then hand it. That can be utilized for the healthy food or to look after the child. Okay, that comes to the end of our explanation. I must say thank you. Okay, thank you everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.